Let's talk about the Quran's definition of the believer, the disbeliever, and the hypocrite. So at the beginning of Surah Baqarah, at the very beginning of the Quran, chapter number 2, the cow, the Quran defines the believers, the disbelievers, and the hypocrites. And these three archetypes of people continue to come up over and over and over again in the Quran as sort of narrative reminders in every single example that God uses in the Quran, whether those are stories of parables in the heavens or among nature, or whether those are stories in the lives of prophets that have come before us. I'm going to read a little bit from Surah Baqarah. I'm using the Thomas Cleary translation specifically about who the believers are. These are verses 2 onwards of Surah Baqarah. This is the book without doubt and a guidance for the conscientious. So the believers are the conscientious, people with conscience. Those who believe in the unseen, forces that are not literally visible. If you think about it, something like gravity is an unseen force, right? What is happening inside of our bodies. We cannot literally see the principles that guide the mechanisms of our bodies. What is happening in space, the orbit of the planets. Without the use of tools, we cannot literally see those things. And in some cases, there are universes in the multiverse that are not accessible to us, right? So those who believe in the unseen can be something as practical as science, or it can be as mystical as miracles. Those who practice regular mindfulness of God or prayer, so people who regularly engage in reminding themselves of God. That can be ritualistic Muslim prayer, that can be forms of breathing or other practices that connect you and strengthen your connection with God and the divine order of the universe. Those who give of what they have, give of what was provided for them. So God has provided everything for everyone, right? And those who give of their wealth, of their resources, of their time, of their energy, those are the believers. And those who believe in what was revealed to you and what was revealed before you. I think this is so beautiful because it reminds us that the believers are those who believe in the wisdom of past generations, past messengers, those who believe in laws that have been proven with science, those who understand the stories of history, who do not stand in their isolated bubbles in this time, right? But instead have made the effort to seek knowledge of what others before them learned. And then the last part is those who are certain of the hereafter. I think this is incredibly interesting because you can see this in a literal way talking about the afterlife. You can see this as the reminder of the mortality of the human life, the last day, the fact that we will all die. Or you can see this as knowing that something will be left behind after we die, right? Here, after we die. And I think that those who are conscious of the world that they are leaving behind tend to not just exploit all the resources that are in front of them. They are conscious of how they raise their children. They're conscious of fighting for just systems because those systems may not impact them in their lifetimes, right? But they will impact their children, their children's children, people they've never met. And that really, really matters. And it says they follow guidance from their Lord and they are the successful ones. And then it defines the disbelievers. And it's very, very short. It says the disbelievers are those who scoff or doubt. It is the same to them whether you warn them or not. They do not believe. God has sealed their hearts and their hearing, and their seeing are covered over, and there is a horrendous torment for them. The disbelievers are people who are closed-minded, closed-hearted, who are not open to seeking knowledge, who are not open to questioning their worldview, who are not open to the wisdom of those who came before them, and who, no matter what happens, have just decided that their path is their path. Those are the disbelievers. And then the most interesting, the longest description is of those who are the hypocrites. The Quran says, and there are people who say, we believe in God and the last day, but they do not believe. And I think that's interesting, right? What does the Quran mean by that? They do not believe. They say we believe, but they do not believe. I think the Quran is saying these are people who say these things, but in how they live their lives, in how they spend their money, in how they treat people around them and nature and their actions throughout this life, they are not consistent. That is the hypocrisy. Verse 9, Surah 2, they try to deceive God and those who believe, but they only deceive themselves without being aware. It is people who are misaligned with themselves, who are also misaligned with the divine order of the universe, who are misaligned with God. In their hearts is sickness, and God has made them sicker. And in store for them is painful torture because they have been lying. Think about the torture of our minds, right? You can think about the literal torture of hellfire or heaven and hell and all of that after death. Or you can also think about the torture in someone's mind who is living a life that is misaligned, who is not even in touch with the truth within their own souls, or who is saying one thing and then doing another thing. Those are the hypocrites. Is it not they who are the troublemakers, even if unaware? And when they are told to believe as the people do, they say, "Shall we believe as the foolish do? Are they themselves not the fools, and yet they do not know?" And when they meet those who believe, they say, "We believe." But when they're alone with their devils, with their false gods, they say, "We are in fact with you. We were only fooling," right? People who put money over being in alignment with their integrity, with doing what is right, what is just, they are switching allegiances constantly. I find this verse to be particularly beautiful. It's 2:16. They are those who purchase error at the cost of guidance. So their trade does not profit them, and they are not guided. They are purchasing error at the cost of guidance. I think money is being brought in here on purpose, right? These are people who value money above guidance, and they think that they will be profitable. They think that this life will be really full of pleasure and wealth and happiness for them. And yet in their minds, there is still torment because money does not buy peace. I want to hear what you think of these definitions of the believer, the disbeliever, and the hypocrite. Do you disagree? Do you agree? And what are some examples later in the Quran where this shows up again that really, really resonate with you or are interesting to you?